Life did not intend to make us perfect. Whoever is perfect belongs in a museum. A hospital alone shows what war is. We are forlorn like children, and experienced like old men. We are crude and sorrowful and superficial. I believe we are lost. The first bomb, the first explosion, burst in our hearts. To forget is the secret of eternal youth. One grows old only through memory. There's much too little forgetting. He who has eyes to see and ears to hear is not free to lie to himself. It's only terrible to have nothing to wait for. I want to think, and at the same time that's the last thing in the world I want to do. Keep things at arm's length. If you let anything come too near, you want to hold on to it, and there is nothing a man can hold on to. Anything you can settle with money is cheap. The more primitive a man is, the better he believes himself to be. A man only begins to be valued when he is no longer there. We have so much to say, and we shall never say it. How senseless is everything that can ever be written, done, or thought, when such things are possible. The days are hot, the nights are long, the world has lost its meaning, but the war will go on. You may turn into an archangel, a fool, or a criminal. No one will see it. But when a button is missing, everyone sees that. Death is not an adventure to those who stand face to face with it. Good or ill, life is life. You only realize that when you have to risk it. We have our dreams because without them we could not bear the truth. Our knowledge of life is limited to death. Modesty and conscientiousness receive their reward only in novels. In life they are exploited and then shoved aside. A man has to have something he can hold on to, something that is his, something he can feel himself belong to. Come, sleep, and death. You promise nothing, but you hold everything. To forget is the secret of eternal youth. One grows old only through memory. What comforts one person is of no help at all to another. We were all at once terribly alone, and alone we must see it through. Life is a disease, brother, and death begins already at birth. Every breath, every heartbeat is a moment of dying, a little shove toward the end. But probably that's the way of the world. When we have finally learned something, we're too old to apply it, and when we're able to apply it, we have no time to learn it. No one could become stranger than the person you once loved. Love should not be polluted with friendship. The things we know best are the things we haven't been taught. Men are all brothers, and yet they don't act like it. You may live more in 1 hour than most people live in a lifetime. It's better to die when you want to live than to live until you want to die. Nothing is so good for a person as what's unexpected. The worst thing is fear. Life can steal everything else from you, but not fear. Fear remains. Anything you lose comes around in another form. We are little flames poorly sheltered by frail walls against the storm of dissolution and madness, in which we flicker and sometimes almost go out. It's strange that all the best things come in such disguise. Strange how complicated we can make things just to avoid showing what we feel. Whatever happens, don't give up. One always has time enough, if one will apply it well. It's a mistake to suppose that people succeed through success. They often succeed through failures. Life is lived on the edges, and where it fails, there is always something else growing. Every life is a gift. No one asked for it, but everyone owes it to themselves to make something of it. You can't ever have anything too much or too little. Love is like a tree, it grows by itself, roots itself deeply in our being, and continues to flourish over a heart in ruin. There is no lack of variety in human suffering. People in general, and especially people in love, often have a childish, simple tendency to think of love as an inexhaustible resource. It is very queer that the unhappiness of the world is so often brought on by small men. Never do anything complicated when something simple will serve as well. It's not what one experiences, it's how one perceives it. I should like to make myself into a small, innocent memory, without regret. Sometimes the only place you can find solace is in solitude. Life is not a process of accumulation. It is one of surrender. We are not youth any longer. We don't want to take the world by storm. We are fleeing. We fly from ourselves. From our life. We were 18 and had begun to love life and the world, and we had to shoot it to pieces. How strange is it that after everything you know and do, after you understand every small fragment of life, you still cannot change it. The strongest person is the one who stands most alone. Our thoughts are clay, they are molded with the changes of the days. When we are resting they are good, under fire they are dead. The best way to love someone is not to try and change them. You take it for granted that you are alive, but there is nothing more wonderful than life itself. No matter how far away you get from a person you loved, you can still hear their laughter like it was yesterday. It's an illusion that youth is happy, an illusion of those who have lost it. Life is only tolerable because there is an end to it. We dream of having a job or a home, yet we die dreaming. It was a summer that came so quickly that you could almost hear the flowers growing. Words don't count. You can say anything. Youth means well, but it's poor in calculation. A man can laugh only when he feels free. You can destroy yourself by loving someone too much. When you have nothing to lose, you can risk everything. Life's not particularly serious, it's just that the serious things in life are the most trivial of all. People only hear what they understand. We are more loyal to our pain than to our joys. The war has ruined us for everything. Sometimes you just have to laugh, and that's the only way to keep from crying. The purpose of war is to make you strong enough to find peace. Courage is fear that has said its prayers. The more things change, the more they remain insane. There are wounds that never show on the body that are deeper and more hurtful than anything that bleeds. Fear itself is worse than the thing you fear. You can live without anyone as long as you can live with yourself. Some days you're the pigeon, and some days you're the statue. You can waste a whole lifetime trying to understand what was meant to be felt. War knows no limits. Even the darkest night will end and the sun will rise. It is not death itself that is terrible, but the terrible realization that we must die. No one ever understands anyone else. No one is strong who has not suffered. No one is ever who they seem. We are just looking for peace in the chaos. Nothing in life is as constant as loss. The dead are never truly gone, they live on in the people who remember them. We have to put aside everything we once knew in order to face the unknown. We are like leaves in the wind. Despair is the only unforgivable sin. Time heals nothing. It only rearranges our memories. What is done cannot be undone, but at least one can keep it from happening again. The most beautiful things are those that madness prompts and reason writes. People are all in the same boat, but they look in different directions. A friend is someone who knows the song in your heart and can sing it back to you when you have forgotten the words. We have two lives, and the second begins when we realize we only have one. War doesn't end after the last battle. It stays in the hearts of those who survived. Only the dead have seen the end of war. The only real paradise is paradise lost. Life is a fleeting moment, and every second not lived to the fullest is lost forever. The heart has more rooms than a hotel. There is always space for one more love, one more sorrow. We are all strangers to ourselves. We only meet ourselves in the faces of others. Some victories are more tragic than defeats. Life is a struggle, but one worth fighting for. War is not an adventure. It is a disease. It is like typhus. In war, the people who die are not the ones who deserve to. Pain is never as deep as the soul's capacity to endure it. The most difficult thing in life is to see things as they are, not as we would like them to be. A writer is a person for whom writing is more difficult than it is for other people. The only thing man learns from history is that man learns nothing from history. The truth is always an abyss. One must, as in a swimming pool, dare to dive from the quivering springboard of trivial everyday experience and sink into the depths, in order to later rise again, laughing and fighting for breath, to the now doubly illuminated surface of things. One is never afraid of the unknown. One is afraid of the known coming to an end. Our souls must find a way to be kind even to those who harm us. Love is the only thing that can save us from the absurdity of life. War brutalizes you to such an extent that it turns you into a beast. People aren't evil, they're just too weak to be good. The best way to protect your heart is to pretend you don't have one. Every person has their own inner landscape, a world filled with forgotten dreams and abandoned desires. A soldier's greatest victory is surviving the battlefield. We all carry our prisons with us. The end of war doesn't bring peace, it brings silence. Only the brave can afford to be gentle. Sometimes it's not the pain that kills you, it's the memory of it. Silence is sometimes the loudest cry. The only thing stronger than fear is hope. We are born into this world as prisoners of time. A man does not belong to himself. He belongs to his country, his friends, his loves, and his memories. Those who have suffered understand life better than those who haven't. To love and to lose is still better than never to have loved at all. The price of survival is the death of innocence. A soul without a purpose is like a ship without a rudder. Life is like a chess game, and most of us are just pawns in the hands of fate. The greatest loss is not that of life, but that of hope. Every man has his secret sorrows which the world knows not, and often we call a man cold when he is only sad. Sometimes it takes losing everything to find out who you really are. Time may heal all wounds, but it also robs us of everything we hold dear. Freedom is an illusion. We are all prisoners of our desires. There is nothing more painful than the loss of dreams. Even the strongest heart has its breaking point. Nothing lasts forever. Everything we cherish will one day turn to dust. The hardest thing in life is learning to let go of what we once thought we couldn't live without. Hope is the last thing to die. the soul is stronger than the body, and it can endure much more. You can change the world one kind act at a time. The greatest war is fought within ourselves. True freedom is found in surrendering to the things we cannot control. The most valuable things in life cannot be measured by money. Death is not the end. It is only the beginning of a new journey. Sometimes the only way to move forward is to look back. Every goodbye is a reminder that life is fleeting. We are all travelers in the wilderness of this world, and the best we can find in our travels is an honest friend. Pain changes people. It either breaks them or makes them stronger. Life is a puzzle, and every person we meet is a piece of it. The hardest battles are the ones fought in silence. True strength is not measured by how much you can handle before you break, but by how much you can handle after you've broken. We are all connected by the invisible threads of fate. The world is full of broken hearts and shattered dreams. Even in the darkest of times, there is always a glimmer of light. The scars we carry are the proof of our survival. Every soul is a battlefield between good and evil. We are all searching for something, even if we don't know what it is. The heart is the most resilient muscle in the body. It can break 1,000 times and still find a way to heal. Time does not heal all wounds, it just teaches us how to live with them. The only true failure is the failure to try. Life is a series of choices, and each choice takes us further from or closer to who we are meant to be. There is no such thing as a life without pain, but there is a life worth living despite the pain. The greatest battles are not fought with weapons, but with words. Every person we meet leaves a mark on our soul, whether we realize it or not. The world may be full of suffering, but it is also full of the overcoming of it. Life is not about waiting for the storm to pass, but about learning to dance in the rain. Even the smallest act of kindness can change someone's world. We are all prisoners of our past, but we hold the key to our future. The hardest part of letting go is realizing that the person you once loved no longer exists. True love is not about finding someone who completes you, but about finding someone who accepts you as you are. We all wear masks, and sometimes the hardest thing is taking them off. Every person has a story that would break your heart if you took the time to listen. The greatest gift you can give someone is your time, because when you give your time, you are giving a portion of your life that you will never get back. Sometimes the best way to heal is to let go of the past and embrace the unknown. Life is a journey, not a destination. We are all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. Every end is a new beginning. The most important things in life are the people we love, the places we've been, and the memories we've made along the way. You can't change the past, but you can learn from it. Sometimes the most beautiful things come from the darkest places. The most difficult thing is the decision to act, the rest is merely tenacity. A broken heart is not the end. It is the beginning of a new chapter. The greatest journey is the one that leads you back to yourself. We all have a little bit of madness in us. It's what keeps us sane. The best way to predict the future is to create it. Happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions. The best way to escape from your problems is to solve them. Life is short, but it is wide. Sometimes you have to lose yourself to find yourself. We are all stories in the end. Make yours worth telling.